India has just launched their third lunar mission, Chandrayaan-3. Yes, you heard that right. They are striving to become the fourth country to achieve a soft landing on the moon, following the United States, the Soviet Union, and China. But I wonder why they are so determined to go to the moon. Could it be that they want to open a curry restaurant there? But let's not underestimate this mission, you know. It's their third attempt, after all. Let's go back to 2019 when the Indian Space Research Organization sent their Moonship 2. What happened? Well, the orbiter successfully entered the lunar orbit, but unfortunately, the lander carrying the rover crashed onto the lunar surface during the final descent. At that moment, the moon must have been speechless, thinking, "Hey, how many more of you are coming? I already have 3 big brothers here, please stop messing around." However, just like in all movie plots, the main characters always find a solution after facing difficulties. So this time, when designing Moonship 3, India made the lander heavier, more stable legs, added more fuel, larger solar panels, new sensors, and even a new algorithm to handle unexpected deviations. It's as if they were saying to the universe, "This time, I will definitely land on that moon." I'm starting to imagine their landing scenario. The lander named Vikram, carrying a 6-wheeled robot called Pragyan, landing near the lunar south pole. And then the robot using 2 instruments, one to analyze the chemical and mineral composition of the lunar surface, and the other to study soil and rock samples. Sounds quite sci-fi, doesn't it? Oh, and one more thing, Pragyan will only explore for 14 Earth days, which is equivalent to 1 lunar day. I guess if it had a choice, it might say, "Can I have more time? I just started getting used to the moon's gravity, and I haven't had enough fun yet." Interestingly, this Indian mission has excited European scientists as well. They say, "We are excited about the potential of Chandrayaan-3's new instruments." What a situation. It's like your neighbor renovating their house, buying new furniture, and you getting even more excited and looking forward to seeing how their new furniture looks. All in all, if Chandrayaan-3 can successfully land and collect data, it will be a great achievement. I sincerely hope India succeeds because, after all, if they do, there will be footprints from 4 countries on the moon. I'm starting to imagine the moon's reaction when it sees yet another Earth visitor. "Oh, it's you Earthlings again. How many siblings do you guys have?" U.S. Secretary of State Blinken, during his meeting with the foreign ministers of Japan and South Korea in Jakarta, Indonesia on the 14th, stated that the 3 countries will stand united to ensure all possible measures are taken to prevent and defend against any aggression from North Korea. The 3 countries agreed to take joint action to ensure the full implementation of existing UN sanctions. On the same day, Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, stated that North Korea will strive to establish a destructive nuclear deterrence unless the U.S. abandons its hostile policy towards Pyongyang. Former U.S. President Trump's lawyer recently requested an indefinite postponement of the trial, claiming that the case involves new legal issues and that holding the trial within 6 months would result in a miscarriage of justice. On July 13, the U.S. Department of Justice urged the judge to reject the request, stating that the indefinite postponement sought by Trump's lawyer is baseless. Furthermore, Trump has indicated that regardless of the trial's outcome, he will continue to participate in the 2024 election. Andriy Yermak, the head of the Ukrainian president's office, admitted on Friday that the counteroffensive by Kyiv against the resistance of Russian forces is not progressing rapidly. The Ukrainian military-led counteroffensive is not progressing quickly, and meanwhile, both sides are launching drone attacks against each other. Kyiv received its first batch of cluster bombs, indicating that the conflict may escalate once again. The Ukrainian military claimed to have shot down 20 Iranian-made drones operated by the Russian side, with the wreckage falling in 4 areas of Kyiv, resulting in 2 injuries and the destruction of several houses. Ukraine seems destined to be in the line of fire in every war and danger. It was the same during World War II when Ukraine's territory was a vast main battleground between the Soviet Red Army and Nazi Germany, making it one of the most severely affected Soviet countries at the time. A Ukrainian soldier demonstrated on July 13 how the Ukrainian military uses homemade drones to combat Russian forces in the city of Bakhmut in the eastern region. The soldier, codenamed Skyba, said that the Ukrainian military's self-developed suicide drones can carry explosive devices and directly collide with Russian vehicles. The United States, South Korea, and Japan jointly condemned North Korea's launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, and pledged to cooperate with the international community to strengthen sanctions against Pyongyang. In a joint statement on Friday, these 3 allies stated that they will strive to prevent North Korea from illegally generating revenue for its weapons programs through overseas workers and malicious cyber activities. For a long time, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen has been working to eliminate the possibility of losing power. Hun Sen has spent years undermining and suppressing the country's popular but often weak political opposition. The national elections will be held next weekend, and he knows it's highly unlikely for him to lose. In the village of Mapanic, Philippines, there are about 20 surviving comfort women, the last batch in the country. When they were young, they were taken from their homes and dragged along dusty roads to be locked up in a red house, repeatedly subjected to sexual violence by Japanese soldiers. Now in their 80s or 90s, they continue to fight for a public apology and compensation from Japan. The Sudanese Sovereign Council welcomed the outcomes of the neighboring countries' summit held in Cairo on Thursday, while the United Nations called for swift accountability for the troops involved in the killing of 87 people in West Darfur and burying them in mass graves. Even with the popularity and strong tax incentives and encouragement for electric vehicles, more than one-fifth of Norway's vehicle ownership is still comprised of diesel cars, according to data from Statistics Norway. Diesel consumption in Norway is only 10% lower than the peak reached in 2015, indicating that other types of transportation in Norway are still reliant on petroleum. Greece is being hit by a heatwave, with temperatures reaching over 40 degrees Celsius. The famous landmark, the Acropolis in Athens, closed early on the 14th, disappointing some tourists. Authorities have also restricted the working hours of horses and donkeys used to transport tourists at tourist sites. They are not allowed to work between noon and 5 p.m. when the temperature is between 35 to 39 degrees Celsius, and they cannot work at any time when it exceeds 39 degrees Celsius. South Korea has been hit by heavy rains, causing floods and landslides, resulting in at least 22 deaths and 14 people missing. The country has experienced 3 consecutive days of heavy rain, with landslides occurring in multiple areas and a dam collapsing. So far, at least 7 people have died, 3 are missing, and 7 others have been injured, with over 1,000 people evacuated. The U.S. Virgin Islands has accused J.P. Morgan Chase of knowingly providing financial services to the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, who was involved in sex trafficking, and assisting him in concealing his crimes. They are demanding at least $190 million in compensation from the largest U.S. bank. Epstein used the private islands in the U.S. Virgin Islands as his sex slave playground. Executives from several U.S. semiconductor companies, including Intel and Qualcomm, plan to visit Washington next week for talks with U.S. officials in an attempt to prevent the Biden administration from tightening restrictions on semiconductor exports to China. U.S. inflation rate for June dropped to a more than 2-year low of 3%, taking an important step towards a return to normalcy for the high-cost living for the public. On the other hand, the Federal Reserve's historic monetary policy tightening may also be nearing its end. It now appears that the probability of not raising interest rates after the U.S. benchmark interest rate hike on July 26 to 5.5% is increasing. European families' travel expenses continue to rise as economies lift COVID-19 lockdown measures, allowing a large number of travelers to take advantage and fly for vacations. However, travel costs have increased, and while relatively older and affluent consumers still have the spending power, many families are considering domestic vacations due to changes in their economic circumstances. Hello everyone, I'm your news anchor, Yali, and I'm here to provide you with a one-stop service for global news every day. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section, and we will carefully read and respond to your feedback. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, take care, everyone.